A signature of Asian architecture, the pagoda is a tower structure characterized by levels of equal or slowly declining width. And while the tradition of the pagoda structure seems to have originated in China, it is actually an extension of the stupa, an architectural representation of Mount Meru, the cosmic mountain said to represent the structure of the universe in Hindu and Buddhist cosmology. In the many centuries since its beginnings, the stupa has evolved into a number of forms as Indian civilization and Buddhist religion have spread throughout other regions of Asia. The prong of the Khmer and Thai architecture, the Chandi of Malaysia and Indonesia, as well as the pagoda which spread from China into Japan and Korean architecture, are all regional variations on the concept of the stupa. There are not an abundant amount of religious sites in the central Chinese city of Chongqing. However, not all modern pagodas take the form of religious towers anymore. Instead, many of their aspects have been moved into architecture for architecture's sake, and for those willing to look, you can still find a number of both traditional and more modern incarnations of pagodas. One of the most notable features of Chongqing, and visible from several surrounding districts, is the monument standing over Oling Park. While not a pagoda in the traditional sense, its architectural style obviously draws inspiration from the classical Chinese design. For a small fee, anyone can climb the 7 levels to the top and have a panoramic view over all of Yuzhong, Nan'an, and Jiangbei districts. Perhaps the truest pagoda in the city, the Wen Feng Ta Pagoda is a conspicuous and lonely tower perched atop a small mountain named Tazishan on the Yangtze River. Able to be seen from many parts of the city, its visible age and odd location make it appear a lone relic from a time past. It's also not easy to get to. There is a path leading up the mountain from Chaoyin Shinsi, a Guanyin temple at the end of Beibin Lu, but it is overgrown and littered with construction debris. The Puti Jingang Pagoda is a likely candidate for the most unique such monument in Chongqing. Standing casually in a dense backstreet neighborhood, the Puti Jingang Pagoda takes the form of a more traditional stupa one might find in Indian-influenced areas. Inscribed with Tibetan script, as well as an ancestral Chinese script known as Zhuan Ti from the Shang dynasty, this monument is very uncharacteristic of Chongqing architecture. A short walk from the Shangxin-Lu subway station on Line 6, the Bao-En Pagoda both stands out from and seems to belong in its surroundings. Its rusty color and faded facade feels almost at home in the deteriorating hill homes, but the sharp and rigid design immediately sets it apart to the onlooker. As you approach the structure, you begin to notice the base is actually set below street level, and the walls of Bao Lun Temple spiral down around it, leading to, of all things, a driving school. When first glimpsing this monument through the gray haze of an average Chongqing day, it seemed very out of place in what appeared to be an otherwise industrial area. Instead, it turned out to be one of the most recognizable structures built for the 8th International Garden Expo. Much of the park is built to represent differing cultural and geographical aspects of China, and throughout them all, the 7-story structure is constantly visible in the distance. Up close, it is quite attractive. However, it appears to be only for show, as there was no indication anyone is allowed in. Enshrouded in the trees of Chongqing's southern mountains, this pagoda is all but impossible to see from the city despite its prominence, height, and location. Built in 1851, it dates among the oldest such structures in the city. The pagoda doesn't seem to be part of any modern temple, although the Lijiang Temple is visible in the distance. This Wen Feng Ta Pagoda stands near the university grounds on a nice, though confusing, hiking trail through the mountain forests. Presiding over what is perhaps the most frequented tourist trap in Chongqing, the Bao Lun Temple is one of the actual authentic historic sites in Chongqing. By legend, it was founded by a king forsaken by his kin and left to meditate for years upon years. And while the surrounding Sichiko Old Town has undergone a number of changes, the Bao Lun Temple seems to have remained largely unchanged over the years, less some recent renovation work. While not strictly a pagoda, this newly built Taoist temple includes a tower reminiscent of Chinese pagodas, and indeed, upon first seeing the silhouette in the foggy skyline, along with the Lijiang Tower, that is what we thought these monuments to be. The temple itself seems more for show than active worship. However, its presence makes a nice addition to the western skyline. When at the Fortune Mall in Yubei, it's hard to miss the star-picking tower illuminated in the northern skyline. It tops the mountain of Jiaomushan, a park set aside for hiking in the northern reaches of Chongqing. From what I saw of the park, it seems to have a lot to offer, including a few traditional representational examples of architecture, and a number of sights to view the cityscape to the south. Of all the parks that dot Chongqing, Bijin Park is among the best. Near the airport and also home to the Bayou Cultural Village, the park stands out from most others in the city for its peaceful atmosphere and abundance of sights. Among these sights is the pagoda, a platform that rises up 7 stories and is climbable for only 3 RMB. It gives a great view of the boats working their way through the park's pond, or just a viewing platform for the nearby planes taking off and landing. Bao-En Temple is one of the genuine historic Buddhist temples still remaining in Chongqing. While its qualities have since been turned into tourist attractions, like a giant golden Buddha statue or even a cemented holy cave, the temple still has a dedicated vegetarian restaurant and guest accommodations. The unused Qifo Pagoda is built on the artificial surface that makes up the roof of the temple grounds funerary area. China Virtue Park is an attempt to artificially reconstruct nostalgia in the form of ancient city gates, gardens, and even a large 4-sided pagoda in what's ultimately an insignificant part of the western city. The park was still in construction when I visited, and the pagoda itself was inaccessible, despite being completed. Locals in the area were playing mahjong, as well as discarding massive amounts of trash in the area. Given its nature as the most prominent structure in the park, I have a feeling this pagoda will be much more for show and not accessible in the future. This pagoda is a bit of an oddity. It's unique in that it is all wooden and very intricately painted with much detail. It is visible on a hilltop across from the Yangtze River in the Bao-En downtown area. The fact is, this pagoda stands alone in a relatively undeveloped area. It is up a dirt road and off the side of an abandoned road. To get there, you must enter a poorly paved parking lot with a single security shed, complete with a couple security dogs. Thankfully, they were restrained. This tower is easily visible from the Line 2 train through Daduko. It appears to be a pagoda-themed viewing platform, similar to the one in Oling Park. However, I couldn't find any other information about it, and given its location a significant way from public transport, I haven't yet set foot inside the structure. What about pagoda architecture do you find interesting? Did I miss any pagodas in Chongqing or some information wrong? Let me know in the comments.